Hello, my friend. I'm so excited to dive into this week's podcast episode for you on this week's astrology. Oh my goodness. It's going to be a juicy week. We have Sagittarius season starting this week. We have some very lovely astrology this week, might I add, in comparison to that, I would say, chaotic full moon in Taurus. Yet I'm super excited to hear how that full moon was for you because, oh my goodness, maybe you got some surprises. So in this podcast episode, I'll be diving deep into the astrology of the week for you and how to embrace and benefit from the astrology of this week. I will then share how your creativity is the secret to success, only if you let it be. I'll dive deep into my creative journey, my process, how I launched my astrology practice, and what I had to go through early on in my career, and how it took me 10 years to get to where I am now. Hopefully, it inspires you in terms of your own journey if you have your own business, or if you're thinking of launching a business. I will then end off this podcast episode with a tarot reading of what energy to embrace, what energy to let go of. So let's just dive right into it. Starting off with November 19th, Pluto finally enters Aquarius. Oh my goodness, astrologers have been talking about this for the last 2 years. So Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. So it's been a journey, it's been a process. Pluto is the planet of death, transformation, and rebirth. And in the sign of Capricorn, we were really trying to transform our idea of capitalism, systems and structures and boundaries when it comes to society, hierarchy. You could have felt like you had to climb a social ladder to achieve a certain status that you thought you needed. I think our idea of success was very different with Pluto and Capricorn. Now that Pluto has entered Aquarius, we are transforming our idea of what community looks like. We are bringing the power to the people. Pluto also represents power and power structures. So we are trying to move towards more revolution for society. I really see that we're going to have this uptick in protests, in banding together, in community support. We're going to need community more than ever now. Really, really good to keep in mind. I dove a lot deeper into Pluto and Aquarius in last week's episode, so go listen to that if you haven't listened to it already. Yet, I am very excited for us. I think this is going to be the shift we need. I will say Pluto at the anaretic degree, the most intense degree of 0 to 1 degrees, this is going to feel a bit more intense. We were going through this purge at 29 degrees of Capricorn. You could have seen how capitalism has failed us in some way. You could have seen, based on the election results, based on other systems, maybe buildings are falling apart. Maybe you're seeing more people boycott companies that don't serve us as the individual, don't help us in terms of the people, and how it's aiding in genocides, right? How we can boycott and move money to companies and people who actually will do more good in the world. Now, with this shift, I would say to go look at the Aquarius area of your chart. We have all the zodiac signs in our birth chart, so go look at the Aquarius area of your chart, and this will help you uncover what is going to transform for you in the next 20 years. If you want help with this, I help people through this in the Moon Sign Creative community. We have a Discord chat. You can always ask me questions about your chart on there. It's so much fun, and I also host new moon and full moon events on there, so you can go check it out if you want more help, if you want to learn more astrology. Now, what's also happening on November 19th is Mercury in Sagittarius is trine Chiron in Aries. So the 19th can have us having some really vulnerable conversations. You could feel as though you could be talking to someone more so about how your sense of worthiness has potentially been holding you back. You could be talking about your desires and what you truly want for yourself. This could be a time when we could have more discussions with people and we can feel more seen around, okay, maybe I'm not the only one who feels this way. This can feel really reassuring and validating. This can feel very, very healing in terms of how we see ourselves and how we're worthy of what we truly want and desire for ourselves. So I see this in these fire signs as a call to passion, a call to desire, and knowing it's okay to embrace our desires, knowing it's okay to tune into our creativity and to really speak our truth for what we want. Use your voice. I do think this is going to be a really powerful time to share something that maybe is a bit more vulnerable for you, but it's going to help you open up to more people. And that can feel actually really empowering and enriching to help someone through something, to show someone that they're not alone in this journey, especially when it comes to what you want and how you're leading others based on this. Now, moving on to November 21st, Sagittarius season begins. So Sagittarius season is going to really uplift us. I am very, very excited for this because honestly, Scorpio season was vibes. Scorpio season was very moody, very intense, a bit more dark. You could have felt like it was a bit more of this emotional pull and purge, essentially, of emotions coming to the surface for you to confront, to heal, to validate, whereas Sagittarius season kind of lightens the mood a lot. I really see Sagittarius season uplifting us. Sagittarius season gives us this passion and drive and excitement and expansion to learn something new. This is the perfect time to take a course, to hire a mentor, to travel somewhere new, to do something that really excites you and to have more fun. I think we're missing that. I love Scorpio season because I get to celebrate with such amazing, amazing people because I have a lot of Scorpio friends. However, the vibes were a little bit more dark, to be fully honest. Yet I do feel with Sagittarius season, we're going to really get this motivation that we've been craving. And I'll be back with your Sagittarius season horoscopes very soon. We also have the Mercury retrograde starting on November 25th. So that's not happening this week, yet I'll be releasing your exclusive Mercury retrograde horoscopes for VIP members next week. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be so good, so juicy. I just recorded them. I'm super, super excited to hear how they resonate with you so you can plan ahead and really understand the energy of what to expect this Mercury retrograde. Now, what's also happening on November 21st is the Sun in Sagittarius is sextile to Pluto in Aquarius. So this is a time when we could feel this extra push to transform a part of our lives, especially when it comes to studying with a community, learning through a community, or learning with our friends. This could be a really good time to start a book club with your friends, to join a new community, perhaps an astrology community, or to really plan a trip with people you care about that feels really exciting, that feels really different, but also transformative. I also see this energy as maybe you are going to a conference or an event to learn something new about how you can communicate and publish something in a different way. Perhaps this is a podcast or a book or something that would allow you to present to more people. May this be through teaching or may this be through a course. So really, really good to keep in mind. I kind of see this energy as very invigorating. I do think this gives us an extra push to put ourselves out there and to follow our passions in a way where we're seeking more inspiration. We're seeking to learn more so that we can empower ourselves to put ourselves out there. On November 22nd, Venus in Capricorn is sextile to Saturn in Pisces. Honestly, the energy of this week is actually such a breath of fresh air in comparison to previous weeks. Like, this is the energy we really need this week. We're craving it. This is very passionate, motivational. Venus in Capricorn sextile to Saturn in Pisces, however, is this stability, this feeling of, okay, the work I'm doing is paying off. Maybe you're seeing a reward for something you've put energy towards, or a system that you've created for yourself. This could look like getting a payment for a system you set up for yourself. This could look like investing in a mentor or coach. This could look like investing in a course. This could also look like maybe someone you love is showing up for you and they want to show up in a very practical way. They're offering you emotional support, but also perhaps something physical, such as acts of service, or maybe they're cooking you a meal or taking you out on a nice date. Or this could just be a friend that calls you up and wants to hear what you're going through, or lends a hand in case you want to talk things through. So this is a very, very supportive energy. I really see this energy as us understanding the long-term vision and goals we have, and perhaps putting money away for the future for this. Maybe you're investing in something to have it pay off later on. This could also look like investing in your spiritual growth, investing in your emotional growth. This could look like hiring a therapist, an astrologer, or perhaps even just a journal to journal out what you've been feeling and processing. I also see this as maybe perhaps you are kind of thinking ahead when it comes to your career and what you want to set up for yourself in terms of having a career that is creative, expressive, but you're feeling spiritually called to do. What does this look like to you? So this is a very beneficial, lovely energy. This is something you could see in the tangible world. Maybe someone messages you and just says, this really spoke to me, what you posted. I want to support you in some way. Or perhaps this is just you tuning into your values and realizing, okay, I'm going to invest in something that I truly, truly care about, especially when it comes to your career. So I am super, super excited for this week. I do want to mention we're currently in the Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius shadow period, and also the Mars in Leo retrograde shadow period. What does this mean? This means that if you're getting messages from people from your past, this could potentially happen. This also means you could already be experiencing some technical issues, some delays. You could feel like you're reassessing where you want to put your energy and passion and creativity. I see these upcoming retrogrades as a time for us to tune into our creativity and passion and drive and what really fulfills us. What did we want to do as a kid that we've let go of, and how can we go back to that? How can we honor our inner child and do things that are really, really fun for us to do, but also spark joy in others as well? Keep this in mind for this week. I'll dive deeper into the upcoming Mercury retrograde for you next week. Super, super excited for it. And I do want to mention, if you want to plan ahead in terms of 2025, and you want to dive deep as to how the astrology of 2025 is going to affect you, you can check out my 2025 readings. I only have 4 spots left for December. This is super, super in-depth. This is to prepare you and get you excited for your year ahead on the major themes to look out for, on what to focus on. May this be through relationships, your career, your finances, your family, whatever that may be for you specifically. we'll dive deep into it. Now, going into the topic of this week, I wanted to touch on how your creativity is the secret to success only if you let it be. What do I mean by this? Now, I thought this was such a good topic to discuss because of the upcoming Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, but also the Mars retrograde in Leo. And the thing is, I think we kind of abandon the idea of being an artist or the idea that we're not creative as we get older if we don't go into creative professions. And even if we go into something a bit more creative, I think we can forget that creativity, that joy of creation is actually something that is a true gift that helps not only us in terms of processing what we're going through, in terms of manifesting what we desire, which I go a lot deeper into in the Moon Sign Creative community, yet that creativity is what we're really seeking this lifetime. So even if you feel like you're not an artist based on your profession or you don't feel creative, maybe there was a part of yourself that didn't feel good enough to dive deep into something creative. Maybe you let go of your passions or hobbies because you felt like you needed to get a 9-to-5 job, or you felt like it wasn't possible for you. I really see the upcoming Mercury and Mars retrograde as a time for us to reflect on your true desires, what you really, really wanted as a kid. And even if you go into a more scientific field or a more financial field, there's always room for creativity. I see creativity as a very spiritual practice because our creativity helps us really tune into source, creation, the universe, and it helps us connect to something where we can see our own power, and that can be really frightening to some people. Now, I want to kind of share my journey in terms of my astrology practice and where I started off in terms of my undergrad in graphic design. I'm going to share my timeline of all the creative projects I've done in the last 10 years and what kind of led me to becoming an astrologer, giving birth chart readings, making astrology courses, helping businesses grow using astrology in my Boldest You mentorship program. I'll dive deep into this journey so that perhaps it helps you understand your own life path when it comes to your career, when it comes to what you want to be doing more of, and how you can tune into that energy and how you can kind of go back and trace your steps and be proud of what you've overcame, how much you've grown. Now, starting off in 2014, this is when I graduated from my university studying graphic design. And the interesting thing is when I graduated, I actually had a gallery show exhibit called A Constant Revise. It was an interactive installation helping the viewer understand the process of grieving through moving picture, through the environment, and how the environment shapes us. So this was a very powerful ending to my time studying graphic design. It was very different than what other people were kind of experimenting with. And I still have that project up if anyone's curious about that. Yet it did really help me reflect on my own birth chart and how this is seen in my birth chart through all my retrograde planets. In the same year, I ended my time at that university. I went into an internship. It was a very toxic internship, I will say. So I had to quit. It was my third or fourth internship, and I realized, okay, this is not for me. I then went into my first full-time design job and realized, oh shoot, this is worse. It was pretty bad. I have a whole podcast episode on that if you want to go listen to that. Yet that was a really difficult time in my life where I felt as though this was not for me. A 9-to-5 was never for me. This is written in my birth chart for me specifically, this was Chiron in Leo opposing my natal Saturn in Aquarius. So it was a very intense time. Also, if you have this in your birth chart, this is really good to keep in mind because this is a lot of wounds and issues with authority figures. This could look like bosses, specifically if you're working at a 9 to 5, yet what works for you might be very, very different than what works for the general society and population. Really good to check your birth chart on this. I know so many people who have this if you're born in 1991. And there are other years that have this aspect too, between Chiron and Saturn. Now, because I quit that full-time job after a month, I quickly fell into freelance graphic design. It's funny, after I quit that full-time job, the same day I went back to my previous university and I was offered a TA position on the spot, which was mind-blowing to me at that time. But it showed me evidence that the universe was supporting me. The universe wanted to help me step into a more aligned path. And I was a TA for 3 years, helping students in the graphic design program, marking papers and really helping with lesson plans. Now, a TA salary was not enough to sustain me. So in 2014, I fell into freelance graphic design. And this is something where a previous person I worked with called me up and they just told me to come in to a design studio to start freelancing. And at that time, I did not want anything permanent because I was so afraid of getting stuck in a similar situation as I was before. Yet this really helped me reflect on, okay, what should I be doing and what is meant for me? I always loved graphic design. It's still something I do for myself, and I helped a lot of previous clients with this. Yet the more I designed, I realized, okay, this isn't exactly for me. This is something I'm really good at, yet I want to help more people in a different way. At the same time, I purchased a course and I got my first high-paying client after I really took that course and understood how to apply it. So I got my first high-paying client on my own. This was something that I wanted for so long. I ended up designing books for the AGO, which is the Art Gallery of Ontario. This was a direct correlation to a course I purchased. So this helped me really see that investing in my knowledge and taking the extra step to purchase courses, hire mentors, actually is so beneficial because I saw real results from it, as long as you apply that information. Now, afterwards, I will say 2014 was really, really difficult for me. It was one of the hardest years of my life. I was in a very hard, difficult place where I kept running out of money. I didn't know when I would get my next job. It was a huge process because I just moved out as well. So I do want to give context because I had no money whatsoever. I had maybe 30K in debt, student loans. So it was a lot to unpack at that time. And I had to reach a point where I had to just trust the universe and see what would come for me and just remind myself I'm safe. That was really difficult to do, honestly. Very difficult to do. Yet, funny thing is, things really shifted in 2015 when I started that TA position because that really helped me in terms of getting a consistent income source. I didn't fully start in 2014 even though I was offered the job, so I had to wait till 2015. And then at that time, I started to get more freelance jobs. I got more clients. I got more sales. I kept getting booked and it felt so good. Yet I was in an intense hustle mentality from 2015 to 2017. I was constantly working. I had to constantly take on jobs to pay off my debt. I was saving up as well to go into a master's program. And it was a time when I was really burnt out. I'm grateful I experienced that because at that time I think it's what I needed to do. However, it was difficult. It was a really, really hard time, even though I felt really, really grateful for what I had. And I had both my own clients, my own design clients, and then also freelanced at design studios and ad agencies. Now, in 2017, I manifested about 26K to take my master's program, which was amazing. I have a whole podcast episode on that. Yet in 2017, that was a pivotal year for me where I went back to school. I met my second ex. So I broke up with my first ex, and then I started to see my second ex. They were both Scorpios. It was a whole thing. It was very intense, and it's what I had to go through. It was my karmic lesson. It was something I had to really learn for myself while also learning new skills in my master's of digital media. So that was a really rewarding experience for me. It helped me really appreciate learning and studying in a new way. And that's when I knew that being a lifelong learner was something that I could do to help me get to where I want to go, to my dreams, to owning my own business. This is why I specifically took that master's program, because there were a lot of practical courses as well. And I remember when I was graduating from that master's program, I wanted my focus to be on launching my own business. So I was super interested in astrology at this time, but that was before I really learned from astrologers and really took courses and deeply, deeply studied. So I was very curious. I started to learn my birth chart. I started to read other people's birth charts, but I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't know what aspects meant. I didn't know the planets. I didn't understand things fully. Yet it was interesting, in 2019, the year after I graduated, I got offered a professor position at my old university. This took time and work, yet it's what I thought I wanted at the time. And I also broke up with my ex at this time, which was very devastating. It was a very hard breakup. Now, 2019 was probably one of the most pivotal years of my life because I started to realize, oh, I don't actually want to be a professor at a traditional university. This isn't actually for me. I love teaching people. I love mentoring people, but I don't like the structure and hierarchy of a traditional university. And I realized that I was just so depressed teaching at this time where I knew I had to change course. I think pivoting is one of the secrets to this, right? I was doing creative work. I want to also reiterate, I was doing a lot of creative work throughout my entire life, yet there's a difference between doing creative work for yourself and doing creative work for someone else. And I think becoming a professor made me realize, okay, I need to figure out my own business right now. Like, I really need to focus and do what I love more because I can't keep doing something that doesn't feel aligned to me. This is not authentic to who I am, right? It was my definition of success was being a professor, yet I was actually making less money as a professor than a TA, which is its own other issue. Yeah, and that was very strange. Yet at this time in 2019, I had launched an astrology-inspired accessory line, which included tote bags, notebooks, pencil cases. So this is when I started to really deep dive into astrology. I was still learning. I want to iterate that. It did take me a few years of intense study of astrology to fully be able to read other people's birth charts. Yet this was a good gateway for me. It felt super creative. I was creating this for myself and people were buying my tote bags and notebooks, yet I will say my profit was not great at this time, even though it was very sustainable. It was good for the environment. I bought locally in Canada from a manufacturer in Montreal. So this taught me, okay, I just have to keep trying. I just have to keep iterating. And that is part of the creative process, is to keep trying different things and knowing that it doesn't always have to succeed. You don't always get it perfect or right the first time. It's okay to pivot. It's okay to change course. It's okay to change your idea of what you want for your career. It's okay to change your business, which I've done multiple times. Okay, I've done this so often that I am still shocked by how many careers I've had because I forget. Someone came up to me and they were actually a moon sign creative community member, and they asked me to potentially read poetry at one of their upcoming events. And I forgot that I wrote a poetry book. I am shocked because in 2019, this is when I needed to do some really deep healing generational work. Because of that breakup with my ex, who I thought I was going to marry, I ended up writing a poetry book of poems that I wrote during that relationship and during my previous relationship. I ended up starting an Indiegogo campaign to raise funds for this poetry book. And I also really did this on my own. I was trying to look for publishers. I had no success in this, yet I started to post my poetry online. And I remember getting such an amazing response because I was so afraid. I want to iterate. I was so afraid to share my art online. Now I'm not, but I had to really confront that uncomfortable feeling, right, of being vulnerable and raw, and knowing that some people will judge you, some people will not like you for who you are, and that's totally okay. That's totally okay. I had to embrace that. This was also the time I hired my first coach, and she really helped me launch this poetry book to the public. She really pushed me to share my story of how I overcame the death of my father at a young age, and how this poetry book was not only about my breakups with my exes, but also how this ties into the generational patterns and karmic patterns of my family and the ancestral healing I had to do for myself. I'm very grateful for that coach. She was definitely a catalyst for me specifically. And it was a big investment for me at that time, but I knew it was going to be worth it. And it 100% was. Now, I do want to say I did not have success in the beginning. I want to say that I had a lot of roadblocks. I had a lot of delays. I had a lot of frustration because I wasn't making money. It was really difficult for me at this time because I was still designing, and that was where most of my income was coming from, was graphic design, which I still loved, yet I was bored. Let's be real. I was just tired of designing for other people, and I wanted to create my own thing. And that is what propelled me to take more action and really ask for more help, ask for mentors, take more courses. This was also the time I got my first birth chart reading from my mentor, and that's what really shifted things for me in terms of deep diving into astrology, taking more astrology courses, and learning more. Now, when 2020 hit, that is when I realized I had to stop teaching at the university. It was my second year teaching as a professor at the university, so I had to really make the decision to stop teaching at this time. It was during my Saturn return. 2020 was so difficult for me because I was alone during the pandemic, and I had to really emotionally process what I was feeling. Yet what got me through it wasn't just the healing work I was doing, like daily meditation and journaling. I realized what also got me through it was my creativity, was creating for myself. This was the year I launched my YouTube channel, and again, it was a very slow process. I wasn't seeing so much growth at this time, but I launched my YouTube channel. I had to keep it up without seeing results. This is very important in your creative practice, is sometimes you won't get the results you want, and that's okay. Sometimes you won't get the recognition that you want, and that's okay. Do it for yourself. Do it for the fun of it. That is so pivotal right now. At this time, I also had delays in publishing my book which makes sense because we were in a global pandemic. People had pre-ordered my poetry book at this time, so I had to delay this. I also started the Moon Sign Creative Community at this time, even before I launched my astrology practice, because I felt the need for community. I have an 11th house stellium. I love community. I love bringing people together. And then in 2021, I finally launched my astrology practice after 2 years of very, very intense study, and then a few years prior to just basic study. Yet 2021 was still very hard for me. I remember launching my astrology practice though, and I realized, okay, this is so aligned for me because I was able to get 10 clients within the span of 24 hours. And I was so shook by this. I give the whole framework for this in my free guide on getting your dream clients using astrology. I'll leave a link to that down below. Yet this helped me see that this path was for me. This was my exact Saturn return, is when I launched my astrology practice, and this is when I finally published my poetry book. Then 2022 to 2024, that is when I really focused on still designing for other people, but I used astrology, I used their birth chart to create for them, to help them with their brands. And this felt so much more fulfilling for me than just designing for someone. I also got more aligned clients after I came out as an astrologer. At this time, I was really afraid to tell people I was into astrology because I was afraid of backlash. I had a lot of Saturn return issues with my mom not supporting me in terms of my astrology practice. It was a whole thing. It was a hard Saturn return. Yet it is worth it. If you're going through your Saturn return, it is 100% worth it. You feel so much better afterwards. A lot of lessons around boundaries. And then in 2023, that is when I started to build my astrology courses, my Jupiter course called Maximize Your Magnetism, utilizing Jupiter for more opportunities and growth in your relationships and career. Also my Finding Your Fulfillment course, embracing the nodes of fate. And also launching my Boldest You mentorship, which is my most life-changing program of working with me one-on-one. And that is when I started to really see how I could help someone grow their business using astrology, social media strategy, brand strategy, mindset work, and energetics, which I was slowly implementing throughout these years and helping people through this in private sessions with me, through my content, through creating. And finally, this year was the year I finally focused on a bigger astrology course, my Astrology Foundations course, Shining as Your Authentic Self, and also just mentoring my Boldest You mentees. So I wanted to share this timeline because things don't go as expected in your creative practice, in your career, even if you're not in a creative field, even if you don't have a business. I hope this inspired you to really take note and know that sometimes things don't work as you expected. Sometimes the thing you want to happen isn't actually for your highest good. The thing you thought would make you happy doesn't, and you have to reroute. And it's all about embracing the journey and staying creative. Like the thing that got me through everything from 2014 in the last 10 years is not letting go of my creativity. I think my creativity was the thing that brought me the most success. Of course, it was grit too, like not giving up, because I am very stubborn and I will not give up. Even when I didn't believe in myself, even when I didn't believe that I can grow my TikTok following to 65K or to get the clients I'm getting now, I had to remind myself, I need to do this for myself. I need to create for myself, and it's going to help someone. I know it will. Even if it helps just one person, that's going to feel so worth it. So I hope me sharing my journey helped you in terms of your own creative practice, whatever that looks like for you. It doesn't have to be towards your career. It could just be your hobbies. It could be something you do for yourself. Do it for yourself. Do it for your soul. What would fulfill your soul? this is your reminder it's possible for you. This is your reminder to not give up. And if this is something you want help with in terms of your creative practice, in terms of your business, this is exactly what I help my clients with in the Boldest You mentorship. This is a life-changing mentorship where I combine astrology, brand strategy, social media strategy, mindset work, and energetics, where I help you grow your creative wellness business in 2025 without the burnout. So I help you through this, and no other mentor I've seen or hired has done this before in terms of my process. I have a very specific expertise in brand strategy, astrology, and also all the mindset work I've been doing for myself, all the healing work I've been doing for myself that I can help someone with. This is so specific to your birth chart. I want to mention that. This is why it works for you energetically. I get to know you on a deep level because I actually care. As a Cancer moon, I really, really do care. If this is something you want for 2025, if you want to save years off your life, because I'll be teaching you how to do this, how to systemize your business so that you have a business plan in place, but also doing the energetic work and mindset work to overcome this. I'll leave a link to the application down below. There's only 3 spots for this for 2025. I want to find the right people for this, the right fit. There will be interviews for this because I really want to find the right people to mentor and to help you take your business to the next level. Again, this is only if you resonate with my work. Now, getting into your tarot reading for this week. It's interesting, I'm using a new deck today. So the first card out is the Queen of Wands. I love this. I think Spirit was really feeling this energy of creativity for this week's podcast. So this is going to be a week of passion and you standing in your power and tuning into, okay, what would make me more fulfilled? How can I express myself and have more fun, but also see how you can lead others with this? See how powerful you actually are. I love this so much. For this specific card, I also see this as really transforming your pain into purpose, into something creative and beautiful. It's transforming past hurt and pain into something that really inspires the world, of knowing that it's possible for you to thrive even through overcoming very difficult things in your life. The next card out is the Two of Wands. So I think this week you could be making a decision between 2 creative projects. I'm hearing this message, or potentially not knowing where to put your focus. You could just feel very excited about doing so many things. So I really want you to pay attention to what feels more aligned to you, what is actually your priority, what actually is your goal for the rest of the year. This is going to be important right now. Yet I see this card as tuning into your intuition of what would spark more joy. What does your inner child want? That's going to feel so exciting. The next card out is the Ace of Cups. And this card speaks on more love coming into your life. This might not be a romantic relationship, but I see someone giving you this emotional support that you're craving. This could also be yourself. Maybe you're really seeing how you've taken care of yourself in such a beautiful way, how you're showing up for yourself more, how you're taking more time to sleep, how you're hydrating more. This is such a good energy. This is so replenishing. This is a new beginning in terms of your emotional health. I kind of really see this energy as Sagittarius season, to be honest. This is such a beautiful week astrologically in comparison to the previous weeks. I will say that. Yet I do feel like it's just going to feel so good this week in terms of that. Now, our block this week is the Death card reverse. So there's something here where you need to let go of. You could feel like there's something that's still lingering on that you haven't fully accepted yet, or something's blocking you and you don't know what it is. I asked for advice on this and we got the 6 of Swords. So your advice is to plan ahead, to have a conversation around this, to really dig deep into your limiting beliefs, into what is stopping you from progressing forward. I also see this as knowing that calmer waters are ahead. You've gone through a really difficult journey and process, but you've overcame it. You're in a much, much better place. Trust this, know this. This is a good confirmation, but tuning into what would ease your anxiety, may this be meditation or journaling, something that really helps you unload this is going to feel super, super helpful for you to do right now. Your oracle cards are staying alive, so stay present, take care of yourself, take care of your body, take care of your mind. Very, very important to do. We also got when you least expect. So even if you feel like things aren't going the way you want, even if you feel like there's delays, even if you feel like things are frustrating, it will happen for you. Let go, detach. It's going to happen when you least expect, which I know can feel really, really annoying, but it will happen for you. The last card out is listen quietly. So tune into your intuition, tune into what your inner voice is telling you to do right now. To be able to access this, you need to practice stillness. You need to practice mindfulness. That is going to help so much in terms of the voice coming forward, in terms of the message you need to hear. Practice this every day. So I really, really hope this helped, friend. If you'd like a private session with me, you could check those out. I just have a few spots for 2025 readings. And if you want to grow your spiritual wellness business in 2025, go check out the Boldest You mentorship. I'd be happy to help you. Thank you so much for being here, friend. Happy Sagittarius season. Just know that the universe has your back, and with peace and love, take care.